10 o'clock tonight, it all starts. What am I talking about? Only the most significant ODI we've played since the 2023 World Cup semi-final.
I would say Ireland would have the edge, or like 6 times out of 10 Ireland might win this game, but when DuPont is involved, like anything can happen because he's that good.
You called all 4 semi-finalists, you did, and you called an India versus New Zealand final.
And I'm sticking by that. I think it's still going to be an India-New Zealand final.
You get things wrong, he gets things wrong. That's exactly what the game is.
You shouldn't have played that shot, should you?
No, I think we solved the world's problems there in sport.
I think we have, mate.
Welcome to the DSPN.
John Walker wins the 1,500 metres gold medal at the Olympic Games.
The All Blacks have won by 29 points tonight. The Devlin Sports Podcast Network.
Welcome to the podcast, people. Martin, Devlin, Lachlan Waugh talking today cricket. Yes, Champions Trophy semi tonight. Rugby Ireland versus France this weekend. And blah, 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 blah with Miles Davis. Before we start, though, you like this? New background. Get it? Yeah. Pretty flash. Love your comments on that DSPN YouTube channel. Your comments over the last couple of days about us kind of separating the show / podcast into segments. Yeah, a lot of you have said, hey, no, we want it all as one package, like you hear it on Rover. If you are listening on Rover at the moment, thank you so much for that. You can find us wherever you find your favourite podcasts, also on the DSPN YouTube channel. If you're on that channel, click subscribe. It really does help us. We're about 500 short of 5,000 subscribers. It's a real milestone. So if you're enjoying what you're seeing and what you're listening to, jump us on YouTube and tell somebody else about it as well and say, click these guys, subscribe to them. It would help us enormously. We put a lot of clips out on social media as well. Martin Devlin _DSPN across Facebook, across TikTok, across Instagram. We get a lot of views on those as well. Again, if you can share, like, if you can subscribe, if you can become part of the family, thank you so much for that. Leave us a comment as well, because every Friday, Fan Forum Comment Corner, where we comment on the comments that you give us, and a lot of them are coming, and we try to get back to them as many as possible. So all of that business taken care of. Let's start the show the same way we do every single day.
We live in an amazing, amazing world, and it's wasted on the crappiest generation of just spoiled idiots.
Time to put the big boy pants on, Black Caps fans. 10 o'clock tonight, it all starts. What am I talking about? Only the most significant ODI we've played since the 2023 World Cup semi-final. Remember that game? It didn't end at all well. India smoked us by 70 runs. The last 3 ODI World Cups we've been, 2 semis, and that awful final loss in England where the rulebook beat us in the Super Over. This Champions Trophy tournament has brought back the same 4 semi-finalists from 2 years ago in India, just a different rotation. Last night, India and Australia went at it, and India won that game. They won it comfortably. Rahul is about to talk to us all about that. Now, India await the winner in Dubai. That's where the final's going to be played of tonight's match, which has been played in Lahore. Keep up. That is on Sunday night. So we've got to get there first. As far as one-day cricket goes, this is the next best thing to a World Cup. It would be a brilliant tournament to win, and only the second major international cricket triumph ever for our boys if they can manage it tonight. We won this tournament in Kenya in 2000. So it's all up to us now, cricket fans. Yes, you and me. It's going to be a late one. This is where the big boy pants come in. It's going to involve stuff or sleep. Our lads need our support, and yes, it makes a hell of a difference if you and me, if we are up through the night riding every wicket taken and every run scored with them. Is it though? Like really, how do they know? Believe me, they do know. They feel it. They absorb the cosmic energy of our fan eyes through the TV satellite to actual physical ground presence. I don't know something. I just know that they know. If you do stay up all night, you somehow feel so much better in yourself if we win, because it just feels like somehow we've played a part in it by staunching it out, by staying the course, by being there in bed or on the couch, at the end under the duvet yelling at the TV. So this, get your iPad out, get whatever it is, put it beside you in bed. You can snooze off and you'll wake up every half hour. What's the score? What's the score? It's one of those kind of nights. If you can stay up and watch, I thoroughly recommend it, because you know it. If we win it, you'll miss it. If you regret it, you will. Does that make sense? It won't make sense at 3 o'clock in the morning, but you will regret it if you miss it. That's what I'm trying to get to. Can you commit to it? Will you stay up for it? Come on, semi-final tonight, Champions Trophy, one-day cricket. Pencil it.
Devlin.
As I said to start the show, it's all about cricket tonight, and it's such a milestone match for our Black Caps. Really significant semi-final against South Africa, and a tournament of consequence. Rahul Patil is our man, talking all things cricket. Before we get to our lot tonight, last night you stayed up most of the night to watch your beloved India, your place of your birth, obviously, beat Australia, and in the end did it nice and comfy. 4 wickets. Look, 11 balls to spare. They chased it down slowly, but 265 was never going to be a total, was it?
Nah, and it feels good. You beat the Aussies in any format.
Always.
It always feels good. I don't know if our viewers and listeners remember, but the scars of November 19th, when the Aussies beat India in that ODI World Cup final, are still fresh amongst
2023 you're talking.
2023 amongst the Indian fans.
Well, as soon as you say 19, that's the Black Caps. Right. So many scars.
Yeah, November 19, 2023. But yeah, they did it well. I mean, Australia depleted side, without the Stark, Hazelwood, Cummins in the mix, it was always going to be a challenge to defend 265. I think part of the problem was because they knew they didn't have the bowling to defend it, they had to kind of get an above par total, which is why you saw the likes of Smith and Maxwell's and all of that just trying that extra bit
bit too hard
and going a bit too early. And it resulted in them getting a below par total. I mean, a 280, 290 kind of total on that wicket.
Well, when you look at 11 balls to spare, I would have thought anything at 300 was obviously the target, but close to there, that puts run pressure on, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And then when they didn't get that, they were always chasing, India's batting lineup. They bat deep till about 8 in the order. You got someone like Ravindra Jadeja coming in at 8. Mm-hmm. They bat deep. And when you've got Virat Kohli in your ranks, I mean, yes, he's got his issues in Test cricket, and he does flash outside that off stump in red ball cricket. But the white ball game is tailor-made for him. He doesn't play T20 internationals anymore, but this ODI format is his best format. Give him a run chase. He's got a computer in his brain. He calculates everything precisely and delivers more often than not.
And you just felt like he was in control. 84 not out in the end, and that was another great innings from him. No Bumrah though. The difference that one guy makes, and I want to talk about that also in relation to whatever happens tonight, because if South Africa do beat New Zealand, and then it's a repeat of the T20 final, and it was Jasprit who destroyed them when they had that right in the palm of the hand. So just before we get into tonight's game, the difference that Indian bowling attack has without him. I mean, to me, it's like you take Sir Richard Hadley out of New Zealand at that time, and it's like, wow, I mean, we've just lost not only wickets, but we've lost the psychological nature of what he brings.
So true. I mean, he is the best bowler in the world across every format.
Agree.
India miss him dearly. Mohammad Shami is just coming back from injury, and he is a good bowler. We know that. But yes, what Bumrah brings to the plate is he gives you wickets up top with the new ball. He can come in the middle, and whenever the captain needs to break a partnership, Bumrah is your guy to go to do that. Yeah. And at the death, good luck trying to play him when he's bowling all his slow balls and his Yorkers and all of those mixes that he does. They will miss him. They'll miss him dearly. But at the same time, what an opportunity. And thankfully, they're playing on a surface which is conducive to spinners, which means they're not missing him that much as they would have missed him.
I'm rolling my eyes because, look, for a lot of us in cricket, we think that all of these tournaments are geared towards India. That the wickets are suited them, the travel suited to them. We saw the T20 World Cup, the playing times are suited to them. Everything is geared towards India winning these tournaments. Even the One-Day World Cup at home, you remember, right? And Australia upset that apple cart then. But whoever wins this match tonight has to go back to Dubai, as you say, and play on the spinning pitch. Although you've said that it is a different pitch, isn't it? That this one that they're using for the semis isn't the same old tired, worn one. Tonight, I don't know. Look, this is a bob each way bet for me. The South Africans are a really good side. We know that. But this is a Black Cap side. Pre-tournament, did exactly all the right things, played the warm-up, played in those conditions, won those games, have had one bum result, and that was a dead rubber match anyway, but Matt Henry took 5 wickets from that match. So I don't know whether we could be any better prepared for tonight, to be honest.
Spot on. We've done everything in our control, and in cricket a lot of times they say control the controllables. We have done everything in our control to be best prepared for this game. The key thing is, in tournaments like this, sometimes it's always better to get that one loss out of the way before you get to the knockout stage.
That's a good theory. Yep.
Yeah, and because, see, look what happened to India in that 2023 World Cup. They won everything right up to the final and then had a bad game in the final.
Right.
It's almost good to say, look, we've got that loss out of our way. Go focus on tonight's game. It's winner takes all. And look, we've beaten them in that tournament in Pakistan prior to this. Yes, they were missing
It's a different team though, yeah.
Yeah, missing a few players. But still, you're playing good cricket. Just go play. Enjoy your game. And I think, especially in Lahore, the pitch that they're playing on is full of runs. I think the side that plays fearless cricket is going to come up trumps.
Mitch Sanders said that. We had it all over the news today on the New Morning Sound, a plug for the new radio show that we're doing, and he said that he expects big runs on that pitch. So whoever's batting first has got to target 300, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. 300 is going to be at par. So anything you get above that is a bonus. You have to play. But again, I'll come back to the fact that if you want to play fearless cricket, forget about the result. Just go there, express yourself. Don't get bogged down. Go and play your shots, and whatever happens will happen. The good thing, Matt Henry, your Will O'Rourke, Kyle Jamieson, bowling really well. Our pacers are bowling well.
Yep.
And we've got this plethora of chameleons in our side. And I call them chameleons because they fit in so well and deliver every single time. The likes of Glenn Phillips.
Yeah, he's been out of his brain, hasn't he?
Yep. You've got Michael.
Look, let's not underestimate what that spectacularness in the field, if spectacularness is a word, a catch like that, it's just like doing anything in any team sport. An overhead kick in football, an intercept try in rugby or rugby league or something like that. It just uplifts your teammates. And every time he does one of those Superman catches, I'm sure that everyone gets a huge adrenaline rush like he does. And let's hope again that one comes his way. And when I say one comes his way, it only has to be in the arc, Rahul.
Yep.
It's just got to be in the arc. However that is,
Yeah.
That guy.
Isn't it funny now that when he's on the field, you're almost expecting him to do something spectacular.
Yeah.
Like if he doesn't, it's going to be like, oh, he didn't actually pick up a one-handed catch.
Are superb, aren't they?
He is phenomenal. And not to forget, people like Michael Bracewell, again, coming back to my theory of chameleons, Michael Bracewell does it with the bat, does it with the ball, does it in the field. Mitch Santner, good with the bat, good with the ball.
Yeah, he's playing well.
We've got all these guys who are actually delivering, humming together. I think there's only one person in that batting lineup that I'd be really focusing on, and I think he's a big match player. We haven't seen the best of him yet. I'm expecting big runs from Daryl Mitchell tonight.
I was just going to say Des, but at the same time, Tom Latham scored runs. Rashin scored runs. A lot of pressure on him tonight. But again, this is the kind of games if you deliver in this kind of game, that's where your legacy starts. And so there's so much motivation there. I started the show by saying, look, this is up to us now, cricket fans. If we want our team to put everything on the line out there, then you've got to put a little on the line yourself. And that means you've got to work out how you're going to watch this, whether it's in bed, under the duvet, with the old, which is what I'll be doing, the old iPad there, just on the bed. And, and I know that it gets, the other person can get a little grumpy at this, but I'm going to fall asleep. But you need to wake up and be able to see.
I've got a theory for this.
Yep.
Go home and go to sleep right now. All right, sleep all day. Do what you want to do, but you don't want to miss a ball of this action tonight because, as you said, this could be history in the making. This could be where legacies are born and made. And so, it's going to be a terrific game, I feel. And why would you want to miss it for anything else in the world? Just
before we go, I've got to make mention and a shout out to Napier. Every time that Napier has a drought, schedule a game of cricket. It happened to the White Ferns again yesterday, didn't it? It's just, look, if you go back through the last however many 10 years, it happens so often. And everyone in Napier laughs about it now. It's kind of like, oh, man, we need some rain. Oh, let's have a game of cricket.
I'll tell you what. I'd forgotten about the White Ferns game yesterday because so caught up in this Champions Trophy thing. And then I suddenly remembered because a message buzzed saying, guess what? It's raining in Napier. And I ran to Crick Info to watch, and there it was. The game's been abandoned, and it was just hilarious. I mean, I feel for them.
Yeah.
Because, there's been a lot of time and effort put into that ground to get it up to standard. Because remember, previously it wasn't up to standard.
No, and you had that sunstrike coming through at 4 o'clock from that side and everything else. Yeah.
But so I feel for the Napier crowd. I mean, you don't get a lot of cricket there, international cricket. Then when you get one, you want a result. You want to see a good
team play. All right, who wins it tonight?
New Zealand. I called this before the tournament,
Yes, you
Marty.
did. You said it was India. You called all 4 semi-finalists. You did, and you called an India versus New Zealand final.
And I'm sticking by that. I think it's still going to be an India-New Zealand final. Let's talk about who wins that one after this one.
You'll feel so terrible tomorrow. You'll have had no sleep, but I tell you what, you'll feel fantastic if you've sat through and we win it. Six Nations rugby this weekend, and it all comes down to this. Yes, I know there's another round to go, obviously, but Ireland versus France. Ireland unbeaten. France have just lost that one game to England. Pat McCarry from the Irish Independent and also Rugby Past, good old mate, joins us again. Hello, son. How are you?
Yeah, great. Yeah, thanks for great to be chatting to you guys again.
Well, this is afternoon rugby at your place. It's 3:15 Sunday morning hours, and so I think for a lot of us what we do is we cheat a little. We turn the phone off, we press record on the remote, and then wake up and have breakfast and watch it, which is just beautiful. But we've had some afternoon rugby here with Super Rugby, and look, I know that, for all of us old coots, we've been saying play the games in the afternoon. We admire the fact you still do up there. What a cracking encounter and occasion to look forward to this is.
Yeah, it's gonna be fantastic. I suppose all the way through, even before the championship started, it was kind of earmarked as this was going to be the game that would decide everything, and it's looking like it's going to turn out that way. So, yeah, as you kind of said, everybody will, the bars will open. They'll have a couple of 2 or 3 hours to get themselves lubricated, and and then it should be a great atmosphere. And then just two teams that are going to be going hell for leather against it, each other. Anton Dupont and Jameson Gibson Park, even the battles within battles are going to be fantastic. So, it should be great. And then plenty of time for guys to kind of reminisce and commiserate and slag each other in the pub afterwards as well. Yeah,
good post-match afterwards. I mean, you mentioned those two guys, and look, on form at the moment. I mean, we've obviously got Cam Roygaard. We love him down here. The South Africans have put their hand up, of course, but those two halfbacks at the moment, what we've seen out of the Six Nations, they're both in such brilliant form.
Yeah, they're brilliant. I was looking up, I was chatting to Jemison before the tournament started, got to meet up with him and sit down and have a coffee with him. And he's a guy who, I was actually saying to him, it feels mad now that he didn't even go on that Lions tour in 2021 because he had broken into the Irish side at that stage. So I think everybody would agree he's the guy who's going to start for the Lions down in Australia this summer. Touch wood, touch anything else you want, just to kind of hopefully, if he avoids injuries, because he's in fantastic form and he's all of a sudden added this kind of extra defensive element to his game as well. So, we all know what he's capable. And then the other guy who's just, happens to be coming back from trying sevens rugby out with a gold medal around his neck and sevens rugby player of the year as well. So Dupont is kind of, that's what I would kind of say to a lot of people. I would say Ireland would have the edge, or 6 times out of 10, Ireland might win this game. But when Dupont is involved, anything can happen because he's that good.
It just occurred to me, so before we actually get more into this, what's a more important game for the Irish rugby team this year? On every level, in terms of fans, administrators, in terms of the players, this match here against France for the Six Nations title or the All Blacks in Chicago, what's more important?
Yeah, that's an interesting. I suppose if I would say the All Blacks again, and I thought, we had spoken in the past as well that it looked like Ireland had finally kind of got that monkey off their back, and there was a genuine rivalry between the two countries there now. But the fact that the All Blacks have beaten us in the World Cup quarter-final, and then we were expected to kind of have the chip on our shoulder when they came over last November, and they just played cup rugby against us again, slowed it down. Kind of outfought us and came away, stole their lunch and kind of walked out of Dublin as winners again. So for me, they've got the edge again there. So I would hate to kind of slip back into those 111 years without ever having beaten them. So it's easy to kind of I would kind of think at this period, this generation of players we have to get as many wins as we can against the All Blacks, before they get unbeatable again, because they're capable of that. So, let's hope so. For me, I'd say that New Zealand game would be more important. But that's still kind of the idea of winning another Grand Slam would be incredible. But that's my own personal bias.
All right, I mean, since 2016, I think the stats are 5-5, aren't they? I mean, it's a real rivalry now. But let's go back to how Ireland are playing. So the Autumn Internationals last year, this is the view, I think, the kind of the majority view down here is that weren't that impressive during the Autumn Internationals, have gone into the Six Nations, looked really good at times in parts, racking those 21 unanswered points against England before the last couple of tries. Against Wales, obviously switched the team around, did just enough to win. So, how do you assess where this Irish team is at? Are they at the peak of their powers like they were going into the Rugby World Cup? Have they come down a level? Are they coming back to that level? Where are you at?
Yeah, there was genuine kind of concern back in November, because I think there was the spectre that Andy Farrell was stepping away to look after the Lions. So, like we lost when we lost that game to New Zealand, I kind of wrote a piece for Rugby Pass at the time saying that we were one more defeat away from being into a disaster. But they got it back together. Like Argentina very nearly beat us in the very next game then as well, and then we were fortunate as well to beat Australia. There was. Like, it was funny. Andy Farrell had like tough questions at the end of those games, and it felt like to me, like from a person who was kind of fortunate enough to live in New Zealand, a good few years back, I kind of knew what it was like to, you kind of get used to winning, and when you're not winning all the time, and when you're winning but not playing well, you get it in a year. And Andy Farrell was kind of probably shaking his head, saying,
"We're still winning.
We went to South Africa, we've drawn a series." We've won a Six Nations and we've won 3 out of 4, and I'm getting it in the neck here. Like
that's what happens when you raise the bar, though, Pat, isn't it? You see the expectations go up. I think that's actually a compliment to the team, because now this is what the expectation is, and that's what the All Blacks have every single game: play well and win well.
Yeah, that's it. Like, and it's like, there's no off days. There's no kind of like you can even see what Ireland do. Like they might filter in 2 or 3 young players as well, but it's like this experienced core. They always have like the kind of the 9, the 10 that they kind of want to play. The 8 is there as well. Like and they always have someone strong in the centres as well. And then you just bring in other people around them. But that's it. Like that, and it did feel like that. Yeah, like again, we've got up to what New Zealand were like, and sometimes the fans went to that All Blacks game back in November and thought that because we were at home, we had their number again and we were going to get revenge, and it didn't happen again. And then there was a bit of stick for like the atmosphere in the ground wasn't that great as well. Like, and it was like, oh my God, like Irish fans, like we're not cocky about many sports in the world, but we were starting to get a little bit ahead of ourselves about rugby, because we were starting to win some things. And I'm sure we had the Welsh kind of complaining about our attitude before we played them, and the Scots often complain about that as well. But it's a great place to be, and that's as you kind of said, when the team are as good as they are, you kind of just really want them to press home, with that advantage that they have.
Yeah, and that's what's frustrating for us All Black fans at the moment. Anyway, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the Six Nations game, and. So this is the real yardstick for Ireland, isn't it? So, and is it just a case of however we win this game? Is that the case? It doesn't matter about playing; it's more about result this game, or is performance as well?
For this one, probably more results. Like it's like I think fans are a lot happier with how the last 3 games have gone. Like as you said, tough start against England, but really kind of drove it home in the second half. Blew Scotland away, and then changed a few things up, but had the kind of the 20-minute red card against Wales, and it just really fired up Welsh team and an amazing atmosphere. Like so the rugby has been good, but on an occasion like this, I think Ireland you'd take a kind of a scrappy 1-point win any way you could get it as well. Like so that's it. But at the same time, it'll be, I suppose some players will be kind of eyeing up, kind of they'll want to up their own kind of performance levels. Like I suppose even look in the second row. Someone like Joe McCarthy has so much potential as well, but he's always given away a couple of sloppy penalties as well. Like, so if you can kind of cut that out, like again, like everybody has an eye on the Lions tour as well. Like, so if he can cut that out, he should be kind of on that plane to Australia. And there's a few other guys who are going to be thinking like that as well. But for the fans, you would take a scrappy win, because everybody's kind of fearful of DuPont, and then it's not even DuPont; it's this back 3 they've assembled now, and like Billy Barry and kind of even. Adesoybe as well. Like, so just these class operators and a big old pack that they're bringing, and all the debate's going to be like, are they playing a 6-2 bench, a 7-1 bench? Like, so we know they're a tough team, and especially if Ntamack is back and Ramos is back at fullback, they're nearly at full strength. So I think most Irish fans and pundits would take a scrappy win, and if we get a scrappy win, then we'll complain afterwards about the performance. So we want the win first.
All right, there's a couple of other games. Obviously, England play Italy, and Scotland up against Wales, and Wales will be eyeing that one up. They've got them, and then they've got the old enemy, of course, at home. As far as France go, though, what and how do you think that they'll play? Because their game against Italy ended up turning into a really lopsided basketball score, and then you look at the way that England overcame them, when I thought that perhaps they were just a little reckless at times, that they didn't really protect the ball enough. And this match should be what I call a classic test match where it's just simply about moments and games and errors and who punishes those errors and who does the most basic things right. That's from this hemisphere, I think, what we're expecting.
Yeah, it'll be like that. I think what Irish fans are kind of looking at is that if you looked at those first 3 games, even like France should have beaten England. I think they botched like 3 like genuine gilt-edged.
Dupont dropped the ball, which is just so weird, wasn't it? Yeah.
I actually was listening back to an old interview that James Lowe gave, and they were saying they used to go back and try and pick flaws and holes in his game. And they said like they had to go back to a Casa game that he played when he was only 19, where he made a few mistakes.
Yeah.
And so like it's so rare to kind of find him making mistakes, and it's almost like something you have to go back and pause the TV if you're lucky enough and go back and say, did that actually happen, or was it a bad pass? And so there's a few of them where they really should have finished England off. But in all 3 games, they've had a big pack and they've tried to push teams around and wear them down. And poor Italy, that's what happened to them in their last game out. And Wales kind of gave it a good 30 minutes and then couldn't stick with the meter. And there's this weird new thing where France are dropping on 6 or 7 big lumps of lads. And it's almost like
the bomb squad.
The bomb squad, I think, is what everybody's saying. Like, so that's what Ireland, do Ireland kind of try and counter that with a 6-2, or do they just, what Andy Farrell would normally do is say, we're going to stick with what we kind of believe in here. So it was interesting, like Jamie Osborne was up for interview today, like with the media, and that would kind of give you an indication that maybe they are going to go for a 5-3 split as well. But yeah, as you said, it's going to come down to these moments. I remember, a couple of years ago, like when Ireland played them and beat them, but like Mac Hansen looked like he was going to score in the corner, and Dupont just picked him up and lifted him away, away from the try line. And so there's all these little moments like that. And it's like you would be fearful, I suppose, because like I suppose as an Irish person, because they've got such a big pack, like Melvaka and Aldrit and stuff like that, just such big units, and the guys that they have like in the Miafu and stuff as well, like they can just throw these big absolute lads like the size of Will Skelton, like they're going to throw at you as well. And then they have this kind of magic in the back line as well. So Ireland, they're going to have to they know it's going to be a big physical challenge as well, like so. As you said, it should be an absolutely classic test match where the first 40-50 minutes should be a bit of an arm wrestle, and then see if the bench has decided, because Ireland's been fortunate. They've kind of had this quality bench that's kind of decided games for them in the last while. Like, so Ireland they could have an edge there, and that could be the winning of the game.
DSPN, the Type 5.
5 separate sporting topics then du jour, and roughly 90 seconds on each when the bell reminds us. On to the next topic we go. So Tutu gets effectively a 2-week ban. Started at 6 weeks. Tony Johnson predicted this the other day that it would be down to 2 weeks if he does that tackle course. Champions Trophy semi-finals. Tom Brady selling his Miami mansion. I'll give you the good reason why. I want to pay tribute to a guy called Mike Conner from West Coast Rugby, a guy who has just put his life and soul into that union. The review panel saying that VAR shouldn't have ordered that penalty against AFC, and the Warriors staff and coaches allegedly drinking every night in the casino in Vegas. Let us start with that one, because it's easy to get judgmental about all this kind of stuff. And if the Warriors had have won that game and won comfortably, I'm not sure this would have been a story. A guy called Charlie White on the Buy Round podcast with James Graham has said that he was in the same hotel and he saw them drinking every night. All the coaches drinking every night. Now, is that a problem, or is it only a problem because they lost and they lost so badly?
If they'd won, the Warriors, and this had come out, which wouldn't have happened, as you made a good point there, that these little stories after big losses always come out, and they sort of adding fuel to the fire. It still would be a problem, but the fact that they have lost, it's a much bigger problem. Now,
why is it a problem?
Well, you just can't behave like that.
Do you think it's a problem because it looks like a poor look? That's what you're getting.
Yes, I think. It's the whole idea around when you're in the public sphere, whether you're an athlete or you're a coach, now granted in Vegas there's a lot of well-known famous people there, and when you're the Warriors you blend into the crowd a little bit, but still you're representing a club, you're representing your country more or less. There's that famous quote that to whom much is given, much is expected, right?
Yeah.
So
yep.
When you are in the spotlight like that, you have to behave a certain way, I think.
I don't think they weren't behaving well.
No, but it's just a bad look. If you're out drinking every night and you're on tour in Vegas, I don't know. There's a tricky way to describe it. I just don't think I don't think that's a good look at all.
Well, when you add it to the Richard Agar situation.
Yeah, and you add it to the loss, of course.
Yeah, and then
compiles.
so it just is what I mean. It just starts piling up, doesn't it? And a win, and these things probably wouldn't be the bigger stories that they do become.
Yeah, to me, because more eyes are on you, and to me, it suggests, I guess, a lack of dedication to your work. Now, granted,
a lack of professionalism, perhaps. I think that's what it suggests. I don't want to get too kind of tutty about all this, but it's just a further problem that's added to a problem, is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, if you walk down when you're quarter and you saw the Warriors coaches or you saw the All Blacks coaches out having a few beers late on a Friday or a Saturday night, I mean, you're not really breaking rules, but I still personally would feel a bit uneasy seeing that, even if it was All Blacks coaches, if it was Blues coaches.
Yeah, if it was before
match day, yeah.
Watch the space on that one. All right, Satutu, 6 weeks down to 3 weeks down to 2 weeks. If he watches the video, goes to tackle school. Tony Johnson said this. His hit on Lakai was awful. It was terrible. It was really bad technique, really dangerous. And this is what these rules are in place now to protect players so that other players don't do this to them. I think 2 weeks is just a farcical punishment. It really is. For him to come back after 2 weeks says that they're not taking this serious at all. There should be a minimum of 4, that hit. I don't know if it gets any worse than that. There are no mitigating factors whatsoever in that tackle.
Agreed, it's a nasty tackle, and it's the sort of tackle that's been officiated this way on for many years. I guess for the first year or so, when those sorts of hits where you're not swinging your arm, you're not doing a no-arms shoulder charge, there's always been an argument that, okay, there's a bit of an adjustment for the players to have to get used to this new sort of stricter way of tackle laws. But I don't think that washes over anymore.
No.
You've had a few years to get used to it, and it was a nasty hit, and there was no sort of going down by Satutu.
No.
So there's no argument at all behind it.
It's just like, great, you go to court and you get this, and the lawyer says, this and your bad childhood and this happened, and
I also wonder.
Look, if it's meant to be 6 weeks, it's 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't 6 weeks. This is 2 weeks.
What do they learn at tackle school that they don't know already?
Well, show us a video of it. Do they really say it's just farcical to me? Yeah. It's just another box that's ticked and you get a week off.
Yeah.
It don't seem right, does it? Mike Connor, I want to just briefly touch on this. 31 years as CEO of West Coast Rugby, stepping down. 31 years. This guy is I have met him a number of times, been around him a lot. He's one of those old school type men and women in this country who just dedicate so much of their life to a sport. Hardly ever get recognised or rewarded for it. Most of it's voluntary. 31 years. I mean, I don't know how old you are watching this, but that's a massive chunk of anyone's life, isn't it?
Well, he's been in that role as long as I've been alive.
Yeah. So
4 years more.
Yeah. First met him when we were doing Radio Sport in 98, and we went down there and saw him a couple of times. He really looked after us and that, and just a really genuine person. And I wonder whether or not these days we're ever going to see this kind of dedication again. Because these days administrators get highly paid in rugby. The other point I want to make is this guy, of course, with the new New Zealand Rugby Board, there's no place for a guy like that on that board anymore. No, he's not.
Probably because he talks too much sense, right?
Well, not only that, because, he
doesn't have 4 different CVs.
4 members of the board have got to be women for a start, and then the DEI comes in and everything else. So a guy with all that experience, all that acumen, all that knowledge, all that grassroots, no place for him.
Yeah, and he's also someone
anymore.
who you make a good point that no one's really heard of. But that's kind of a good thing as well, isn't it? That he just kind of gets on with his work. Tom Brady, let's just do that because I like the story. This is in the news today. Tom Brady's selling his Miami mansion, right? It's worth about $265 million. It's got a golf course. It's got a basketball court. It's got a pickleball court. It's got its own boat ramp. 13 private security police force. Why is he selling it? He's not short of cash, so...
No.
Memories of his marriage? I don't know.
Bingo.
Really?
So the ex-missus has now shacked up with a jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, Brazilian jiu-jitsu instructor
and
or something.
she's bought a house just over there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's pregnant as well, isn't she?
So she's bought a house just over there. So he's walking out the front door going, onto his expansive deck, pool arrangement, golf course and everything, and he's just staring at her house and he's like, I can't do that.
Does she do that on purpose?
What do you think?
Yes. You know what's actually quite sad, by the way?
Grow a hedge, Tom.
I think, yeah, great.
Put some trees in, mate.
Well, stack up all of your trophies from your incredible career. That'll block her out.
Yeah, put the 7 Super Bowl wins there. Cause
the storyline when he retired, then unretired, then they split up was that she was not happy that he essentially chose football over family, right? But then very soon after they split up, she's got a new man and has already got a kid. So I don't know. Was there a little bit of overlap there?
You can have all the money in the world, okay? You can have everything, and you're just the best life, most perfect life. I mean, he's earning more than what his mansion is worth. He's getting $365 million for his contract with Fox, isn't it, to do the punditry? Ridiculous. But it still comes down to this, doesn't it? The human condition and the human. You can still be affected by. Look, even a guy like that, you would just think, oh well, whatever. But no, he's selling the house.
Oh, good on him.
Auckland FC, the review panel says VAR should not have interfered and awarded penalty to Adelaide at 3-1, match ended 4-4. Is there a point to doing this, apart from racking everybody up and acknowledging, acknowledging your failings and admitting you got it wrong, sure, but I just don't get what the end game of this is other than that you got it wrong and, again, the argument comes, what the hell are you got VAR? VAR is meant to get things better. And VAR hasn't made any better difference at all. The odd decision is right, and the odd decision where somebody's nose hair is offside, but really does it make it a better game?
Well, not really. Well, yes. I mean, it depends. There's the crowd.
If the VAR decision goes in your way as a fan, of course it does.
Yeah, but I think there's always got to be criticisms of it. There's always going to be people supporting it. I felt like the magnitude of criticism was bigger when it wasn't in football than it is now. But everyone's got something to... people are always complaining. But you're going to complain about it gets taken away. People complain about missed offsides. I just
want to go back to... We are humans playing human games, and humans make mistakes. They make mistakes on the field. They make mistakes off the field. The referee makes mistakes. The linesman makes mistakes. Guys miss sitters. Goalkeepers have howlers. Harry Maguire is Harry Maguire every time he plays.
Awful.
So, really? Do we need it?
But if you're Auckland FC, how do you feel?
Well, you feel gutted by this because you should be gutted.
Yeah.
You should have a 12-point lead, not a 10-point lead. And they've admitted that.
Yeah.
Champions Trophy to finish with. What is going to happen tonight? Black Caps against South Africa.
Well, there's head and there's heart. I don't think we're as good as South Africa in white ball cricket. Then again, we've played well this tournament. Apart from the India loss, we've been pretty
honestly
convincing.
think this is a 50-50. I really do. Our guys are on form. We've had all the preparation that we need. We've played in Pakistan. We've won in Pakistan. We won against South Africa in Pakistan. But okay, that was not a South African. It was a warm-up match. But we got bowlers on form, batters on form. We're either going to go out there and play like we've been playing, or we're going to lay an egg. It's one of those two things. It would be so unfortunate if we end up playing the worst game that we've played in the last 7 or 8 in this game.
Well, based on how the tournament has gone so far, how good both teams are, and have been at the last, not so much us at the T20 World Cup last year, but South Africa, that's 3 straight semi-final appearances now at white ball World Cup tournaments, if you count this as one of them.
Yep.
It could be a match similar to that semi-final in 2015 where it just goes down to the last couple of balls, right?
What a game that we got away with that. Thank you to the weather gods,
which no one talks about.
The weather intervened beautifully for us.
Yeah.
And remember the amount of times that the ball went sky high and 3 of them would be running and just land there.
Yeah, trip over. It was like 2019. The weather saved us against India, didn't it?
It did in that semi-final.
And it actually saved us in the group stage as well because we had an India game that was rained out. Anyway, back to the original point. I don't know who wins. I think it's a coin flip. I have no idea.
You going to watch?
I'll watch the first couple of hours probably, and then I won't try to. I will fall asleep. I'll absolutely fall asleep in bed.
I think most of us will, but as long as you wake up and when you wake up, check the score.
That's what you do.
And if it's that close, you might want to get up and keep watching.
What you should do is watch the first hour or two, drift off to sleep, and then when you're drifting off, turn the TV off, and then set your alarm for 4 a.m. or 5 a.m.
Yeah,
That's what you do.
Every Wednesday joins us the old mate Miles Davis. How you doing, son?
I'm doing exceedingly well, old Bean. Yourself?
Yeah, lots to talk about. I don't know where to start. Champions League, Six Nations. We've got NRL this weekend, Super Rugby. You decide.
Why don't we start with hair blatter? I think, or hairless blatter.
Yes.
I should have do you know what I should have done? I should have worn that dodgy
Should have worn
syrup.
that wig, yeah.
Do you remember the one when I used to do the impersonation?
You were a great Sepp Blatter, actually. Yeah.
Oh, honestly, but I was more Sepp Blatter than Sepp Blatter.
Yes, you were.
But there's so much to look at in this. I mean, Firstly, you can remember back. In fact, it's the year '98 when you and I first started working together. The World Cup in France, and he had just become president of FIFA. And
Wow, that long ago.
one day he made a declaration about the referees. If they don't get more serious and harder on it, they're not going to get a game in the second round. That day, there were 5 sending off. I was at one, Denmark against, I can't remember who it was, in Toulouse. 3 players sent off there. And I remember joking to a geezer next to me. A sub came on. I said, "I bet you get sent off in 5 minutes." Sure enough, he did. I think even Zidane got sent off against Saudi Arabia down in Marseille.
Yeah, yes, he did.
So he started trying to exert his influence really early on. He showed dodgy character as well. Remember when he said women should wear tighter shorts if they want anyone to watch their game? The New Zealand women, remember we played against them in that, a lot of them, the internationals, in that House of Football against the
Won it
women's
2-1
team.
too.
Yeah, I know we did. I made the winner actually.
Couple of hitters.
You lasted 2 minutes,
yeah.
and then ran away crying because some girl said something nasty to you. And they said that they'd been over, I think, South America somewhere at a function, and he was exceedingly sleazy. FIFA attracts so much, not just money, but influence. Football's the world game. Every politician wants to have access to it and influence with it. So money's flowing. Corruption is left, right, and centre. And Blatter was right at the forefront of that. I don't know about you, Martin, but advisory. Can you be an advisor for 4 years and I'll pay you almost $4 million New Zealand dollars?
So in the end, that court case got thrown out and it got appealed, and now this appeal is why we're talking about this, people. This is actually back in court. I mean, what is going to happen here? I can't see anything other than what the original decision. What, are they really going to convict both of these guys now? Blatter can hardly get into court.
Oh, no, he looked really, I mean, he's never looked great, but he looked really awful. Platini, I think, has got a lot more to lose. He's got more life in him. Blatter's, 89 now? But as I say, corruption's everywhere in it. He's no different to anyone else. Like if you look at Mohammed bin Hammam, he was, vice president of FIFA. He organised the Qatari bid for the World Cup. He gets booted out for being corrupt. What a surprise. Yeah. Reynald Tamari, OFC, booted out. Our old mate, who I'm very fond of, Ty Nicholas. I mean, he got booted out and got banned for 8 years. I can remember when the initial raid was. Remember the big raid in Zurich?
Yeah, 7-star hotel it was, yeah.
Yeah, well, I sent a message to Ty Nicholas, who was at that Congress, and I said to him, "Have you been caught up in it?" He said, "No." I said, "I hid under the bed and put the do not disturb outside the door."
Oh, look, I mean, we've known for years that it's just been the dodgiest place, hasn't it? I mean, whether he gets convicted, I just don't know whether convicting Blatter now does anything at all. Does it change anything at all?
It might just send a message, perhaps, and it might leave a stain on his legacy that is well deserved. But yeah, you know what it's like. They're liable to they'll look at him in the dock and say, "No, he's too old. Let's not bother about it."
All right. Champions Trophy cricket. Black Caps tonight against South Africa. India doing it comfy against Australia. You going to be watching tonight or watch some of it?
Yeah, no, very much so. But I did predict, I think if we could go back and look at a previous episode, I think I predicted all 4 of these sides to make it through to this stage. Can you give me your rationale? You reckon that it's set up for India to win?
I do, yeah.
Can you explain?
Spin-friendly pitches. Well, I mean, they're not going to play in Pakistan, are they? And so therefore it is in Dubai. I think the travel factor that both the New Zealand and South African teams are there. They've got to go back to Pakistan. They've got to come back. Look, it was a bit like the T20 World Cup last year, where all the times were perfect for their games. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether it's real or whether it's imagined. But if they win it, they win it. And so...
Well, again, we're talking money as well, aren't they? Because the BCCI probably, arguably, have got more influence around the world than the ICC have. So, perhaps they sort of put the squeeze on the ICC to prepare the pitches to suit them. But both sides play on the same pitch. When you're going over there, that the conditions are liable to suit India. Well, why don't you pick a side that is best able to counter that? The fact is, that the Indians have got a fantastic side.
Yeah.
And if they hit form, you're going to struggle no matter where you are.
And they're doing it without Bumrah too, so, you know.
Are you upset that the Aussies are out?
No, I love it, mate. Absolutely love it. I love it when Australia lose at cricket, like I love it when your mob lose at rugby, mate. It's just one of those world celebration day things.
We'll get to that in a minute, but I just want to finish on this, the Rohit Sharma thing, about that congresswoman calling him
fat.
sort of fat and out of shape and all this. There's been so much furore over it, but for a start, let's look at it. It's a woman telling a man he's fat. Now, you and I both know that that's fully legitimate. You know, look at the gut on you, look at the fat ass on you,
that's what we say to each other, right?
But you can't do it the other way around.
No.
A woman can say that to a man, so I think that's legitimate. If a man had said it to a man, it's probably legitimate.
Yep.
If a man had said it about a woman cricketer,
you're cancelled.
That wouldn't be legitimate, and you're cancelled for the rest of your life. I don't think Rohit Sharma, in fact, I think it'll probably inspire him.
There's always fat guys playing cricket, mate. We could pick a fat 11. There's always, but we love the fat guy playing cricket. Who's that West Indian?
Juno Rangatunga.
Oh, look, mate.
Who was the West Indian? Cornwall. Who was the big West Indian?
Devo. Yeah, the guy who. Look, you just go back through every single team. There has always been. We had a Jock Edwards here. Rest in peace.
Mike Gatting.
Yeah. There's always been a
little
fat.
bit so.
Yeah.
Dennis Compton.
Yeah, there's,
Colin Cowdrey.
Booney. No, everyone's had them.
Colin Cowdrey, Dennis Compton.
Enziman was called the bionic potato. He was always a little bit overweight. Hey, but we're allowed to say this as guys to other guys. NRL this weekend. You're hosting the Doggies. Opening round for you. How's that going to go?
I thought we were going to have a good season. But then again, I thought the Warriors were going to have a good season based on their pre-season form. And we all saw how that turned out. It went pear-shaped. We're getting to the real... And I know early on in the season you can't really gauge anything, but the fact is that the good pre-season doesn't really mean anything now, and I'm starting to get nervous about the Doggies coming to town. But I shall keep hope going until the final whistle, or after we're 20-0 down after 5 minutes.
Super Rugby this weekend. There's a couple of, 3 or 4 cracking games. How do you feel about your Canes at the moment, though, after losing two New Zealand sides?
I'm not happy at all, to be honest. But I mentioned this last week, that everyone was going about the Blues. Oh, this season will unravel, if they lose. And I said to you, if the Hurricanes lose, their season's in a bit of question mark over it. I mean, they got close. I mean, a super try to finish them off, to be honest. Later on in the game, but I am worried about them. The thing that I've enjoyed, I mean, the games have all been pretty decent to watch. A lot of close games. I've enjoyed the form and the growth really of the two Pacific Island sides. But when you look at it, how unlucky are they? I mean, I think Moana Pacifica, they got dealt to by the Reds, but they've lost by 1 and 2 points.
Yep.
I think the Drua have lost by 4, 4 and 5.
That's it, yeah.
When are they? They could be top of the table.
Yeah. It's been that close for them, yeah. And now they've got that, they've got that match against the Chiefs this weekend at home. They've got to get off. Look, I mean, it's 0-3. It's almost impossible to claw your way back to be a top 1 or 2 side after that. But, I think all of us are hoping that, they get off the mark at some stage, win these games.
Well, they bring so much to the competition, and I mean, as I said, as much as I was gutted that Ardie Savia left, I think he's given an injection there. There's plenty of other players to come in, maybe not of his calibre, but an opportunity at the Hurricanes for other players to come in and take his place. And it can only be good for the competition, it can only be good for world rugby. I'd like to see this transposed to the world stage. To see that go on, so that the islands get a bit more opportunity, a bit more support and
always
funding.
Talk about it, but it never happens.
Well, we need some, rich Middle Eastern person to suddenly get obsessed with rugby.
There you go.
And plough the money into the Pacific Islands. And then none of them would come over and play for New Zealand.
Finally, then, as far as football goes, AFC told that the review panel said that the VAR should not have intervened, and the penalty that went from 3-1 to 3-2 ended up a 4-4 draw with Adelaide on the weekend. Again, just the administrative side of this, I'm just not sure at all what the worth is when 2 or 3 days later you get told that, that decision was wrong. You don't get your points back or anything else. What is the point of that exactly?
I suppose that their argument would be accountability, but if accountability is just saying sorry, I mean, how many times have we got into trouble with the missus? And I'm sorry, love, just doesn't
accountability.
You've got to pay.
Yes,
a penance.
there is a penance.
Exactly. So there should be a better. And I've been rabid about VAR and any of that technology in sport, especially in football. For me, when the ball hits the back of the net, the only thing as you explode in joy that you look at is the linesman, see if he's got his flag up. Anything else doesn't count. So it's ruined it. It's absolutely ruined it. And they still can't get it right.
They can't get it right.
No. So, and it's all subjective. It's just like in cricket. What the umpires decide of this, well, just let him decide it in the first place.
That's it.
And man up.
Yeah.
And just
and if he gets
decision.
it wrong, well, you get things wrong. He gets things wrong. That's what the game is.
You shouldn't have played that shot, should you?
No. I think we solved the world's problems there in sport.
I think we have, mate. Or we've caused some more because the missus is watching.
The DSPN.
That's our podcasting show for today. Again, if you're liking what you're listening and what you're seeing, then a small favour, if you will. Can you please hit like, share, subscribe, follow, tell a friend about it. We are a fledgling podcast and show, the DSPN, and we need you. And if you are participating, well, just click that subscribe button. That would help enormously. Thank you so much if you already have. Again, tell a friend if you like. We're doing this every single day, putting out a show every afternoon. The DSPN.
This is the DSPN.